We will be taking the next class of anti-neoplastic drug, that is anti-tumor antibiotics. So next class of your anti-neoplastic drug is antibiotics. Okay. So basically they are anthracyclines. So what do you mean by anthracycline? There are it contains four rings attached to fused to each other. So they are known as anthracycline. So they are basically anthracycline. The examples are doxorubicin, daunorubicin, idarubicin, epirubicin. So and they exert their effect by three main mechanism of action. First, by inhibiting of enzyme topoisomerase 2, which is necessary for your binding, for your repairing and coiling and restructuring of your DNA during your splitting of your DNA. Okay, DNA replication. This is the most important and which is used for repairing as well as opening of your DNA. And they have got high affinity to DNA through intercalation. So, like similar to that of your alkaline, they'll call intercalation. That is, they get incorporated in between your DNA strands. So, thus it will prevent the replication mechanism. It inhibits the replication. That is the second mechanism. Binding to the cell membrane. So once they bind with the cell membrane, they alter the fluidity and transport mechanism. So they block your transport mechanism of ions and all across the cell membrane, thus leading to cell. That is the third mechanism. And the fourth mechanism is generation of your semiquinoline free radical and oxygen free radical. These are ion dependent process, enzyme mediated reductive process, which will destroy these superoxides are very reactive. They will destroy the cancerous cells. So these are some of 3-4 methods where which the antibiotics act. Okay. So topoisomerase 2 cleaves and they are used in the treatment of cancers, leukemia, lymphoma, breast cancer, stomach, uterine, ovarian and lung cancer. So all these cancers can be treated by this antibiotic. They are the part of the chemotherapeutic. Okay, so topoisomerase cleaves the DNA during a replication and repairs the damage after the replication is come. So recoiling and splitting, both the time your topoisomerase 2 plays an important role. So the basic structure, it contains an anthracycline. If you see, there are 4 rings. If you see, there are 4 rings, anthraquinone, and the second ring is a quinone. Okay, that means it contains a carbonyl group at the first and the fourth position. It's an anthraquinone with an OH and 2 OH at the 1 and 4 position of the third ring. And if you see the first ring, okay, the first ring contains your methoxy at the fourth position. Okay, so depending upon the substitution, okay, and the fourth ring is saturated. So you got first ring, that is an aromatic ring, followed by a quinolone ring, whence it contains 1,4-quinolone. That means it contains a carbonyl group at 1 and 4 position. And next ring, third ring, contains OH at the first and the fourth position of the third ring. Okay, and the last ring is a saturated ring, and which has an substitution. Okay, which has a substitution. Okay, it can be an acid or an aldehyde. It can be an acid and an aldehyde, and at the position of the attachment of this carbonyl group there is an OH and the carbonyl group is attached at the position. Okay, and it is also connected to an amino-methyl deoxy sugar, moiety. Okay, sugar moiety. Okay, so this is the structure of your basic structure of it. Contains an anthracycline. It is a tetracyclic molecule with the anthraquinone connected to a sugar moiety. So it's basically through by a glycosidic bond. So this is the basic structure of your antibiotics. Now let's go for the structure of your doxorubicin. So doxorubicin contains an carboxylic group at the fourth ring. The fourth ring contains an carboxylic group and an OH. That's the same. Rest all structures are the same. and the R2, that is the substituted at ring 1, at the ring 1 contains an methoxy, that is your doxorubicin. Now daunorubicin, what is the difference between daunorubicin and doxorubicin? Your R is an H, that means it is an aldehyde group. Your R is an H, that means it is an aldehyde group at the saturated ring, and other thing is methoxy. Now comes the next drug, that is idarubicin. Idarubicin, it's an aldehyde and there is no methoxy group at the fourth position of your first ring. So these are the three antibiotics which are used as anti-cancer drugs, that are used as an anti-cancer drugs. Okay. Now let's go for the mechanism of action of this antibiotics. So doxorubicin and daunorubicin, how does it act? So both of them bind to the sugar phosphate backbone of your DNA. So they bind to the sugar phosphate. So instead of your sugars getting attached to your nucleotides, this daunorubicin gets attached to your, instead of your sugar moiety. Okay, which leads to the block of DNA and RNA. So instead of your sugar moiety, your doxorubicin, so your DNA sequencing will be altered, and this might lead to blockage of your DNA and RNA synthesis, and thus leading to breakage of the supercoiled DNA, causing irreparable. So once your DNA breaks open, by the initial state is breaking and then again recoiling. So when the supercoiling occurs, when these DNA sequences, they get introduced into your DNA sequence, whenever a template is formed. So at that time, if the wrong nucleotide sequence is introduced, so this will prevent the recoiling or supercoiling of your DNA structure. So this is how they can act. That is the first mechanism. Second is it catalyzes the reduction of free radicals. It catalyzes the reduction of, this in turn reduces your molecular oxygen. So whatever oxygen is present, this free radical is that is formed, producing a superoxide ion and a hydrogen peroxide, which mediates single stranded scission. So this superoxide which are formed, that will cleave your DNA. That will cleave your DNA strand. That will destroy your DNA strand. This is the second mechanism of action of your doxorubicin. It can inhibit your DNA strands. It can slice your DNA slice using your superoxide. Otherwise, it gets introduced as a sugar moiety into your DNA strand. That causes local uncoiling and which leads to blockage of DNA. So these are the two mechanism of action of your doxorubicin and daunorubicin antibiotic. So next is bleomycin. Next is bleomycin. So bleomycin is a glycopolypeptide antibiotic. Glycopolypeptide antibiotic means it contains a glucose moiety as well as a peptide linker. It contains the glucose, it is a straight ring and modified amino acid sequence. So both it contains a peptide as well as your sugar moiety. So it is produced from Bacterium Streptomyces verticulaceus. Bleomycin refers to the family of structural related compounds. The chemotherapeutic form is primary bleomycin A and B2. It works by causing, so it breaks your DNA strands. Okay, they are used for the treatment of Hodgkin's lymphoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and testicular. So let us see the mechanism of action. The mechanism of action is similar. It forms superoxide. The DNA bleomycin, the DNA when it complexes with bleomycin in presence of iron, ferrous complex, appears to undergo oxidation to bleomycin Fe plus 3. It gets oxidized to a higher oxidation state. Once an oxidation state is increased, they release an free electron, and this electron that is liberated reacts with the oxygen. The free electron which is liberated from this complex, once it gets oxidized, it liberates an electron. That electron release reacts with the oxygen to form a superoxide or hydroxyl radical. So if there is any oxygen or an OH which is present, they get converted into a free radicals, and these free radicals are very reactive. They will attack the phosphodiesterase bonds of DNA. So it will attack the phosphodiesterase bond and resulting in breakage of strands and chromosomal aberration. Means it will break your chromosomes which are present in your cytoplasm. Everything will be destroyed by this superoxide. They are highly reactive species. They will destroy the cellular components. So this is how bleomycin acts. The mechanism of action is formation of superoxide by conversion of DNA bleomycin ferrous to ferric. In doing so, in presence of enzyme, they release free electrons, and these free electrons will form superoxides and hydroxyl radicals, which will break the DNA strands, as well as chromosomal abbreviation, destruction of your chromosomes. So this is the mechanism of action of bleomycin. This is the mechanism of action of bleomycin. Next drug is mitoxantrone. Mitoxantrone. So it is also an anthracene analog. It is an anthracene dione. Why it is called anthracene dione? Because if you see, it's an anthracene and it has got a 2-carbonyl group, anthraquinone group. Okay, carbonyl group in the middle one. One ring less than that of doxorubicin and daunorubicin. That's the first thing you have to remember. Now, the first ring contains OH. Second ring same carbonyl. Now the third aromatic ring contains an aminoethanol group. It contains an aminoethanol group. It is ethylene diamine ethanol. So it's an ethylene diamine which connected to an ethanolic group. Ethylene diamine which is connected to an ethanolic group. So that is your structure of your mitoxantrone. So in this case, the sugar moiety is replaced by an amino side chain, and it has got one ring less compared to that of your doxorubicin, daunorubicin. They act by intercalating the DNA and also inhibits your topoisomerase 2 enzymes, and thus preventing the proper structuring of DNA during the replication and translation in your RNA. So intercalation means they get introduced between the ring, okay, between the DNA nucleotide sequence, and thus preventing the replication. Moreover, it also binds with your topoisomerase 2 enzyme and thus prevent the proper structuring, that is your splicing and slicing of your DNA. Supercoiling steps will be inhibited once this topoisomerase enzyme is inhibited. So this is the mechanism of action, and as it inhibits the resealing activity, the enzyme causing the DNA irreparable damage and unable to replicate. So what happens? It will prevent the formation, resealing of your DNA. If you see the activity of topoisomerase 2, they will help in supercoiling as well as resealing of your DNA. It's formation of your 2 strands. Again, once your daughter strand is formed, alternate strand is formed, then again it helps in resealing off. So this is the activity of your topoisomerase enzyme. So this thing is inhibited. So thus they act as an anti-cancer by inhibiting the destroying your DNA in the cancerous cells. Adverse effects include nausea, vomiting, hair loss, heart damage, and immunosuppression. So anybody on this treatment have got a suppressed immune system, so they might be prone to other infection. So this is about your mitoxantrone. Okay, it contains an anthraquinone. Okay. Anthraquinone means carbonyl group at 1 and 4 position. First ring contains hydroxy. Aromatic ring contains an OH at the first and the 4th position. Third ring contains amino at the first and they are substituted with ethylene diamine with an ethanol group attached to one of your nitrogen, terminal nitrogen. So this is the structure of your mitoxantrone. Okay. Now the next class of example is mitomycin C. Next antibiotic is mitomycin C. If you can see, it's acts as both alkylating agent. Okay, it acts as an alkylating agent and thus inhibits your DNA synthesis. So what is the mechanism of action? What is the mechanism of action? It contains a quinone moiety, which contains an quinone moiety with an aziridine ring. If you see at the right hand side top, it contains a three-membered cyclic aziridine ring, okay, which is very important for the active. Also, it contains an carbamate moiety that is also plays an important role in your DNA intercalation. Now, let's go for the mechanism of action. How does this mitomycin act? Now, let's go for the mechanism of. If you see, look at the structure and the explanation. What is the first thing? What is the first step in the mechanism of action? It gets activated by bioreductive process. It gets activated by your bioreductive. So your anthraquinone, sorry, your quinone moiety gets converted to an, your quinone moiety gets converted to an hydroxyquinone. Okay, your quinone, that is carbonyl group, gets converted to an OH, that is known as hydroxyquinone. That is the first step. That is your reduction is your first step in doing. When reduction happens, this liberates the OH which is formed, liberates free radicals. Okay, liberates free radical that breaks your DNA strands. That is one mechanism. Moreover, next there is one more aziridine ring. If you can see, the first step is, if you can see the cursor, first step is OH formation. In forming this, your free radical is formed which will destroy the DNA. Now let's go for the next. There is an aziridine ring. If you can see the cursor, this is your aziridine ring, the terminal one, three-membered cyclic nitrogen content, that is known as aziridine, which is in the terminal. So what happens to this aziridine ring and the methylenic group adjacent to the carbamate group? This gets attacked. They are vulnerable to the attack by your DNA. They are highly unstable structure. They get attacked by your DNA. So your DNA contains various amino acids, okay, which have got nucleophilic site amino groups. So this will attack on your aziridine. Okay, the amino group of your guanine, two amino group of guanine and four amino group of cytosine, they will attack. So in doing so, okay, there is a ring breaker. So once DNA attacks your aziridine ring, it's broken and you get your NH2. Okay, what does this next do? First thing is it attacks on your aziridine, you get your DNA gets attached. Now what happens? The second part of your DNA, so second portion of your DNA attacks on your carbamate. So they are also prone to your attack by your DNA. So this will lead to intercalation. So your mitomycin gets introduced between your DNA strands. So this will prevent the DNA replication, thus leads to your cell death. They act as an alkylating agent. They act as an alkylating agent. The first step is reduction, followed by loss of your methoxy group. Methoxy group is lost. Then your DNA attacks on your aziridine ring. Second part of your DNA then gets attacks on your carbamate. So this DNA gets intercalated, and thus they act as an alkylating agent. Thus they act as an alkylating agent by intercalation between the DNA strand. This leads to the cell death. So this is your mechanism of action of your mitomycin. They act as an alkylating. How? First is your hydroxyquinone. One is your hydroxyquinone is formed from your quinone. When it is formed by enzymatic process, okay, enzyme, though they generate free radicals. These free radicals forms your OH or superoxide that destroys your DNA strand. That is one mechanism. Next is they also contain, okay, they contain an aziridine and a methylene group adjacent to the carbamate, which are vulnerable to your attack. So once this get hydroxylated, your methoxy groups gets liberated, and once your methoxy groups is liberated, the DNA attacks on your aziridine ring, forming NH2, and your DNA gets attached. Now the second part, any group in the DNA, that is guanine or cytosine, second 2 amino group of your guanidine or 4 amino group of cytosine, okay, they attack on the other part, that is a carbamate form, that you see CONH2. They are also very much unstable moiety. So the DNA attacks on that, your carbamate is removed, and they get introduced between the DNA gets introduced between these two terminals of your mitomycin. Thus they act as an alkylating agent, and the mechanism of action is intercalation of your DNA strands, and thus leads to your cell death. So next class of drug is camptothecin. Okay. Next class of drug is your camptothecin. So what is this drug? The source is Captotheca acuminata. So this is your source of this particular antibody. So what is the basic structure? The basic structure, it has five rings, A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E. Now your E ring is an cyclic ester. It's a lactone ring. E is a lactone ring. Okay, next to your ester there is an OH and an ethyl group. If you see, if you count the structure, it contains an OH and a ethyl group. Okay, next to your carbonyl group, it is an OH and an ethyl group. Okay, which is connected to another cyclic amide, caprolactone. So cyclic amide, and which is a unsaturated ring. Okay, 6-member unsaturated lactone ring. Okay, because it contains N and carbonyl ring. Now this is a 6-member. D is 6. Now C is 5-membered ring. C is a 5-membered ring. B and A and B forms your quinoline. A and B forms your quinoline ring. So you got a quinoline ring, A and B. C is a 5-membered ring containing nitrogen, and this nitrogen forms a amide with a 6-membered ring, which is in turn connected to a cyclic lactone, that is lactone ring, that is a cyclic ester, and next to your carbonyl group of your cyclic ester is your OH and your ethyl. So this is the structure of your camptothecin. This is the structure of your camptothecin. Okay. Now the synthetic derivative of camptothecin is your topotecan and irinotecan. So these are the two examples. So what is this? If you see, the structures are almost the same. Only in case of irinotecan, it contains your quinoline ring contains an ethyl substitution at the 4th position of your pyridine, and sixth position of your quinoline contains an bipyridine ring, which forms an ester, bipyridine ester. So that is the structure of your irinotecan. Now what is topotecan? Topotecan contains an OH at the 6th position and N-dimethyl ethyl group at the 5th position. Rest all things are same as that of camptothecin. So these are the three structures. If you see the structures properly, they are almost the same. There is only slight modification in your quinoline part of your molecule. Rest all structure is the same in all the three drugs. Rest all structures is same in all the three drugs. Okay, camptothecin, then topotecan and irinotecan. In case of irinotecan, it has an ethyl group at the 4th position of your quinoline and an bipyridine ester group at the 6th position. At the 6th position of your quinoline, that is your A ring. Okay, so these are the structures of your three derivatives of camptothecin. Okay. Now what is the mechanism of action? What is the mechanism of action? So they also inhibit your topoisomerase enzyme, which was responsible topoisomerase 2 enzyme, which is responsible for your cutting and relegating the DNA strands, and inhibition of the results in your DNA. So what is that? This enzyme is responsible for supercoiling, uncoiling and recoiling of your DNA, and if this enzyme is blocked, this stage is not happened, and this will inhibit your, this will cause the DNA damage and thus cause the cell death. So this is your mechanism of action of your camptothecin, which acts on the S phase that of your cell cycle. it acts on the asynthetic phase of your cell cycle. So this is the mechanism of action of camptothecin. This is the mechanism of action of your camptothecin. Next antibiotic is dactinomycin or actinomycin D. It's also called as actinomycin D. It is a if it attacks, if it affects on the cells in all phases of cell cycle. Okay, cell cycle, this thing. So dactinomycin is given intravenous, it remains unchanged and it is concentrated in liver and excreted in the body. It does not cause the blood-brain barrier. Now let us see the mechanism of action of dactinomycin. So dactinomycin also affects on the topoisomerase, thus inhibit that unwinds the DNA helix for replication. So it inhibits your topoisomerase 2 enzyme, which is necessary for your unwinding of DNA helix for your replication. It also causes intercalation. Okay, it also causes intercalation in minor groups of your DNA, means the groups which are near to each other. When you draw the DNA structures, they get introduced at the minor groups of it between your guanine and cytosine pads, thus preventing transcription. Transcription is nothing but your splitting of your formation of your new cells. Okay, this is how dactinomycin acts. So next class of drug is, these are antibiotics. Now let's go for your some miscellaneous drug. That is, first example is hydroxyurea. So what is this hydroxyurea? You contain an urea moiety with an extra OH on one of your nitrogen. That is your hydroxyurea. So how does this? They are basically used in the treatment of chronic myelogenous leukemia and crevical. Now let's see the mechanism of action. So what is the mechanism of action? This act on the enzyme ribonucleotide reductase. Okay, by scavenging the tyrosyl free radicals and they are involved in reduction of your nucleotide. So they will prevent the production of deoxyribonucleotides. They will inhibit the synthesis of deoxyribonucleotide, which is necessary for your DNA, because your nucleotides should bind to your nucleoside 2 should bind to your deoxyribo sugar, then only your DNA will be. So this formation of your deoxyribonucleotide is inhibited. This enzyme which forms your deoxyribonucleotide is inhibited by your hydroxyurea. This is how the drug acts. They inhibit your enzyme ribonucleotide reductase, which is necessary for your synthesis of your deoxyribonucleotides. Okay. Now next class of drug is aspergillase. Next class of drug is miscellaneous drug is aspergillase. What are these aspergillase? So these are the enzymes which are isolated from E. coli. These are some of the enzymes which are isolated from E. coli. So what is the role of aspergillase? Aspergillase causes catabolic depletion of your serum aspargine to aspartic acid. So they convert your aspargine into aspartic acid and ammonia, resulting in reduced blood glutamine levels and inhibition of your protein synthesis. Though they cause depletion in serum aspargine and aspartic acid by the loss of ammonia, and this leads to the reduction in your glutamine level in your body, and thus inhibition of your protein synthesis. In neoplastic cell requires external source of aspargine. So which in neoplastic cells they don't have your aspargines. So this is how they can act. So once these are in, they will inhibit your neoplastic cells. That is, production of your glutamine is inhibited. So this is the mechanism. If you see in this structure, the blood, the exogenous asparginase convert your aspargine into aspartic acid, and this aspartic acid, okay, is used in the synthesis of glutamate, which is necessary for your protein synthesis, which is present in your normal cells. Okay, whereas In case of neoplastic cell, this conversion of glutamine to glutamate is not possible. That's why you give aspargine. So this is how you prevent. This is how the L-aspargine is. So I would like to stop over here because that's a new topic, that is hormone therapy. So these are all the miscellaneous drugs that can be used. These are all the miscellaneous drugs, and